The frozen moon of Valar 9 was silent, a land of endless ice and dead wind. Only one human lived there. Captain Reed Walker, a soldier of Earth Alliance, had been left behind after the last great war between humans and the Valari Empire. His small outpost sat alone on a ridge surrounded by storm clouds that never cleared. Every day was the same: cold, lonely, empty. He often looked at the black sky and wondered if anyone remembered him back home. But that night, everything changed. Reed was sitting near his metal stove reading the same old mission log when the sky exploded with light. A fireball tore through the clouds and crashed somewhere beyond the ridge. The ground shook so hard that the walls of his outpost cracked. Reed stood up fast. "Meteor strike," he said to himself. But deep down he knew it was no meteor. The light had a pattern: controlled descent, not natural fall. He grabbed his pulse rifle, put on his cold armor, and stepped out into the storm. Snow whipped against his visor as he followed the smoking trail down the slope. His scanner beeped weakly. Unknown energy signature, not human, not machine. The wind screamed across the wasteland as he reached a broken crater. Inside the smoke and fire was a small silver pod, glowing faint blue under the ice. Steam hissed from its cracks. Reed aimed his rifle carefully and stepped closer. "If anyone's alive in there, hang on." The pod door opened slowly with a soft hiss. A faint light spread out, revealing a figure inside. A young woman with pale silver skin, long white hair, and eyes that glowed faint blue like stars. Reed froze. "Valari," he whispered. Her breathing was shallow. She looked weak, frightened, and wounded. But her eyes opened, and when she saw him, she tried to move away, whispering something in her alien tongue. "I'm not your enemy," Reed said softly. He lowered his rifle. "You're hurt. Let me help you." She stared at him with fear and confusion. Her translator chip sparked, then finally spoke. "You, human?" "Yes," he replied. "Name's Reed. You crashed here. You'll freeze if you stay." She hesitated, then reached out her hand. Her skin shimmered like light on water. Reed carefully lifted her out of the pod. She was lighter than he expected, almost weightless, fragile. As he wrapped his jacket around her, his visor beeped. The scanner flashed red. Motion detected. Reed looked up the hill. In the distance, shapes moved through the storm. Mechanical drones, sleek and fast, scanning the ground with red lasers. "Damn it," he whispered. "They're tracking you." The alien girl's eyes widened. "Hunters. Mother sent them." "Your mother?" Reed frowned. "Why would she?" But there was no time. The drones locked on their position and fired a bright pulse into the snow, missing by inches. Reed pulled her behind a rock and returned fire. Blue plasma bolts cut the darkness. "Stay down," he shouted. The drones screamed overhead, scanning again. Reed shot 2 of them down, but a third one hovered, recording his face. Then it flew away into the sky. Reed cursed. "They just marked us both." The girl tried to stand, but stumbled. "We must hide. They will come. More will come." Reed looked at her glowing eyes, so full of fear, yet strength too. He nodded. "Then let's move." They ran through the storm, deeper into the frozen valley. The wind howled, hiding their tracks, but the sound of engines grew louder behind them. As they reached the cliffs, she suddenly stopped. "My name," she whispered, "is Lyra." Reed turned to her. "Lyra, who are you?" She hesitated, then said, "Daughter of Queen Soraya, ruler of Valari Empire." Reed's heart froze. He was holding the enemy princess, the very kind of alien he once fought against. Before he could speak, the mountain behind them lit up. Hundreds of red eyes appeared in the mist. The drones had found them. Lyra's hand shook as she reached for his. "They will kill us both." Reed looked around, trapped between cliffs and fire. His pulse rifle hummed as he raised it again. "Not today," he said, voice low and calm. He pulled the trigger. The first drone exploded into fire. Snow turned to steam, and somewhere high above, far beyond the clouds, a royal voice whispered through the darkness, "Find my daughter, and bring me the human alive." The snowstorm roared around them as Reed and Princess Lyra stumbled across the icy ridge. Behind them, flashes of red light painted the clouds. The hunter drones were closing in again. Reed's boots crunched on the frozen ground as he pulled Lyra behind a cluster of dark rocks. "We can't outrun them in open space," he said, breathing heavily. Lyra's glowing eyes scanned the sky. "They follow my signal. It cannot be stopped, Reed frowned. Signal? She nodded, touching a faint blue crystal on her wrist. A royal tracker. My mother placed it in every air. She knows I am alive now, and she will come. Reed stared at her, confused. Wait, your mother wants you dead? Why? Lyra's expression darkened. Not dead. Controlled. A low hum filled the air. The sound of hunter ships sweeping across the valley. The drones were calling their masters. Reed took a breath. If she can track you, then we need to break that signal. Lyra shook her head. It's part of my blood. Only a code key can silence it. Then we find a way, Reed said, gripping his rifle. You just focus on staying alive. They moved again, climbing into a narrow cave entrance hidden by frost. The wind outside screamed like a dying animal, masking their tracks. Inside, the walls glowed faint blue from ancient alien minerals. Reed set a small heat lamp on the ground. The air shimmered around the light, turning their breath into misty trails. For a moment there was silence, broken only by Lyra's quiet voice. You should have left me, she said softly. The Queen's hunters will kill anyone who protects me. Reed checked his rifle. Yeah, maybe, but I've done enough leaving in my life. Lyra looked at him, puzzled. You are a soldier of Earth. Why help a Valari? Reed hesitated, staring into the firelight. Because once I didn't help, and people died. I won't make that mistake again. Lyra lowered her head. You speak like one who carries ghosts. Maybe I do, he said quietly. What about you, Princess? Why did you run? Lyra's eyes flickered with pain. My mother. She changed after the war. Something dark took her mind. She hears voices now, something she calls the Shadow Core. It promised her power to rule the stars, but it feeds on life, on thought, on free will. Reed's eyes narrowed. So she's using this power to control her own people? Yes, Lyra said, trembling. And I am the only one who can stop her. The neural key inside me connects to the Valari defense network. That's why she wants me back with me. She can control every ship, every soldier. Reed leaned back, trying to process it all. So you're not just a princess. You're the code that can save or destroy your whole empire. Lyra gave a small, sad smile. Now you understand why they will never stop. Before Reed could answer, his scanner started beeping. Slow, rhythmic pulses. He frowned, tapping the screen. That's not from them. A new signal flashed, human frequency. Old code. Reed's eyes widened. It's an Earth Alliance beacon. Lyra's brow furrowed. Humans were forbidden here since the war. I know, Reed said, standing quickly. But this code is from our side. A distress call buried deep underground. Maybe a base. Or a survivor. Lyra stood beside him, her white hair glowing softly in the dark. Could it be a trap? Only one way to find out, Reed replied. Outside, the storm began to fade. Red light still blinked far away. The hunters were searching, but not yet close. Reed packed up his gear and looked at her. If that signal is real, we might find shelter. Maybe something to cut your tracker signal too. Lyra nodded slowly. Then we follow the human signal. They left the cave and began descending through the frozen valley again. The light of twin moons broke through the clouds, painting silver lines on the ice. As they walked, the beacon's sound grew louder. Beep, beep, beep. Then suddenly the scanner flashed red. Reed stopped. Wait, that's impossible. Lyra looked at him. What is it? Reed's voice turned cold. The signal. It's moving. The snow in front of them cracked, and something massive rose from beneath the ice. A tall metallic figure, shaped like a humanoid but twisted with alien machinery, emerged with glowing blue eyes. Lyra gasped. That is not human. Reed raised his rifle, heart pounding. The creature's voice echoed through the storm, deep and distorted. Captain Reed Walker, the Queen welcomes you. Before Reed could fire, the creature lifted its arm, and the scanner on his wrist exploded in sparks. Lyra screamed, Run! But there was nowhere to run. The hunter's signal had found them again, and this time it came with a face. Snow and fire mixed in the storm as Reed pulled Lyra behind a ridge. The metallic hunter stood in the open field, its glowing eyes sweeping the ice. Each movement was heavy and deliberate, like a machine that remembered how to kill. Reed's mind raced. The thing knew his name, which meant someone or something was watching. The creature's voice boomed again. Surrender, Captain. The Queen requires your presence, Reed gritted his teeth. Not today. He fired a pulse shot. The blue blast struck the creature's chest, but it only staggered back. Its armor glowed brighter, healing the burn instantly. "Move!" Reed shouted, grabbing Lyra's hand. They ran through the snowfield, the sound of heavy metal footsteps echoing behind them. Plasma bolts lit up the darkness. Reed ducked, sliding behind a ridge. Lyra's energy shield flickered weakly. She whispered, "We cannot fight it. That is a royal sentinel. It follows orders without mercy." Reed looked at his scanner. The human distress signal still pulsed faintly, leading deeper underground. He looked at her. "If we can reach that signal, maybe we'll find something that can help us." Lyra hesitated. "If the Queen placed that machine here, she will know where we go." Reed reloaded his weapon. "Then let's make her chase us." They ran again, the beacon beeping faster as they reached a frozen cliff. Beneath it, the scanner showed a hollow space, a massive underground structure buried in the ice. Reed spotted a narrow crevice. "Here!" he shouted. He blasted the ice and the ground cracked open, revealing a dark tunnel glowing with faint blue lights. They jumped in just as the Sentinel's plasma blast hit the ridge above, shaking the world like thunder. They slid down a long chute of ice, landing hard on a metal floor far below. Reed coughed, his breath fogging the air. The walls around them shimmered with light, ancient human markings half buried in frost. Lyra stood slowly, eyes wide. This is human?" Reed nodded, scanning the symbol of the Earth Alliance carved into the wall. "Yeah, pre-war structure. Maybe a research base." The doors creaked open automatically, lights flickering alive one by one. It was as if the place had been sleeping, waiting. They stepped into a large circular hall filled with broken machines and frozen consoles. Holograms flickered to life, showing human soldiers working beside Valari scientists, laughing, shaking hands. Lyra stared in disbelief. "My people? Worked with yours?" Reed looked at her. "Long before the war, maybe. Before everything fell apart." A faint female voice echoed from a nearby speaker. "Welcome back, Captain Reed Walker." Reed froze. "What the?" The lights brightened and a holographic AI appeared, a blue human figure in a command uniform. Her voice was calm but distant. "Base Epsilon activated. Status dormant for 73 years. Lyra stepped closer. "How does it know your name?" Reed swallowed hard. "I don't know. Maybe because of my DNA tag." The AI turned toward Lyra. Its tone changed instantly. "Valari lifeform detected. Access restricted." A loud alarm began to echo through the chamber. Metal doors slammed shut. Lyra panicked. "Reed!" He ran to the console. "Override, Walker Code 7. The AI's voice deepened. "Unauthorized." "Intruder alert," the floor rumbled. From the far side of the room, a massive mechanical shape unfolded from the shadows. A war sentinel, old human design but twice the size of the one outside. Its eyes lit red, targeting them both. Lyra whispered, "It thinks I'm the enemy." Reed stepped forward, raising his weapon. "Stay behind me!" The sentinel roared to life, firing twin plasma cannons. Reed rolled to cover, firing back, but the creature was too strong. Energy blasts tore through the hall. Lyra fell near the central console, her eyes glowing fiercely. She placed her hand on the panels, and suddenly her neural key shone like a star. The entire base trembled. The AI's voice glitched. "Neural signature recognized. Lyra of House Soraya. Authority override accepted." The sentinel froze mid-step, lights flickering, then powered down completely. Silence filled the room. Reed stared in shock. "You just stopped it?" Lyra lowered her hand slowly, breathing hard. "The key in my mind, and it connects to old systems. Your people built part of it, with mine." The holographic AI flickered again. Records unlocked. "The Protector protocol begins." Reed looked around, confused. "Protector what?" The AI's voice softened. "Prophecy entry detected. One human. One Valari. Their union shall restore balance." Lyra turned to him, eyes wide. "Union?" Reed frowned. "This is getting strange." Before they could ask more, the floor above them shook violently. Dust fell from the ceiling. The AI's voice cracked with warning. "External threat detected. Royal Sentinel breaching lower level." Reed gripped his rifle again. "Guess she found us." Lyra's voice trembled but strong. "Then this time, we fight together." And as the ceiling split open, red light pouring down, Reed stood shoulder to shoulder with the alien princess, a human protector beside the heir of an empire, ready for whatever came next. The metal ceiling cracked open like thunder. Fire and dust poured down as the Royal Sentinel dropped through the hole, landing with a metallic roar. Its red eyes locked onto Reed and Lyra, and the ground shook beneath its weight. Target located. The machine's cold voice echoed. Priority order. Retrieve the princess, terminate the human. Reed raised his rifle, sweat freezing on his face. Looks like I'm still on her hit list. The Sentinel fired twin plasma cannons. Reed rolled behind a console, the heat wave searing past him. Sparks filled the air. Lyra's voice trembled but strong. You cannot destroy it. That is the Queen's Royal Guardian, built from ancient human tech and Valari blood. Reed ducked behind a beam. Then we'll use that against it. He sprinted across the room as the machine turned. Its massive arms smashed through a wall, barely missing him. Metal fragments rained down. Reed fired at the glowing joints, but the bullets scattered like dust. Lyra pressed her palm to the control panel again. AI respond. The holographic figure of the base Epsilon AI flickered back into view, its voice broken. System integrity. 42%. Command channel unstable. Help us shut it down, Lyra shouted. The AI hesitated, then said, The Sentinel obeys the ancient core command. Only the designated protector may control it. Reed heard that and froze mid-run. Protector? What does that mean? Lyra looked at him, realization dawning in her glowing eyes. It means you, Reed blinked. Me? Before he could argue, the Sentinel struck again, throwing him across the room. His armor cracked, pain flashing through his ribs. The machine aimed to fire, but Lyra screamed and stepped between them, raising her hands. Her body glowed bright blue, energy bursting from her neural key. The Sentinel paused, and for a second, as if recognizing her power. Override, she shouted. Royal Command, cease fire! The Sentinel's eyes flickered. For a moment it stopped. Then its voice changed, deeper, distorted. Command. Corrupted. The Queen's code overrides all. Lyra's face fell. No, she controls it from orbit. Reed coughed, crawling to the console. Then we break her link. He slammed his wrist pad onto the terminal, connecting his own battle system. AI, transfer control protocol to my command ID. The AI flickered again. Warning. Only authorized human protector genetic match may attempt. Reed's scanner beeped. DNA verified. Match found. Lyra's eyes widened. It's you. You are the protector. The Sentinel roared again, lunging toward them. Reed stood firm, gripping the console. His eyes glowed faintly blue as the AI's code flowed into his armor. Protector link active. Reed felt energy surge through his veins. The Sentinel's next blast hit him, but instead of burning him, the energy bent around him like a shield. Lyra gasped. Reed. He stepped forward slowly, raising his hand. You want to follow orders? He said to the machine. Then follow mine. The Sentinel froze mid-attack. Its lights shifted from red to white. Then it lowered its arms and knelt. Lyra's mouth fell open. You controlled it, Reed breathed heavily. Not controlled, connected. The holographic AI appeared again, its tone now calm and clear. Protector protocol complete. The human Reed Walker inherits the legacy of the first protector. Access to the machine of truth granted. The floor split open, revealing a staircase leading deep underground. A warm golden light glowed from below. Reed looked at Lyra. Machine of truth? She nodded slowly. Legend says it holds the memory of both our races, and the secret of the Queen's power. They descended carefully. The air grew warmer as they entered a massive circular chamber filled with floating crystals and energy streams. In the center stood an ancient core, half human tech, half Valari design, alive with pulsing light. Lyra approached it reverently. This is the origin, the link between our people. The machine spoke with a deep, echoing voice. Welcome, child of Soraya. Welcome, human protector. You seek truth. The light flared, showing images in the air, humans and Valari once working side by side, creating peace and shared knowledge. But then a dark presence appeared, a swirling shadow feeding on anger, jealousy, and war. The Shadow Core, the machine said. Born from greed. It corrupted Queen Soraya, binding her mind. Lyra's face filled with pain. So it's true. My mother is not fully herself. Reed clenched his fists. Then we can still save her. The machine's voice deepened. To save her, one must enter the core link. A human heart bound by honor and a Valari mind bound by truth. Lyra looked at him. It means both of us. The machine glowed brighter. Together you may break the chain or die trying. Above them, the alarm sounded again. The Queen's voice echoed through the comms. Reed Walker, you were chosen by fate, but fate bends to my will. The chamber shook violently as enemy ships began descending from the sky. Reed turned to Lyra, eyes determined. Then we finish this before she gets here. Lyra nodded, her blue eyes glowing fiercely. Together. And as the chamber's light flared around them, the two stepped into the golden core, unaware that the truth waiting inside would change everything they believed about love, loyalty, and the war itself. Light swallowed everything. Reed and Lyra opened their eyes to find themselves standing inside a bright chamber of white marble and silver. The machine of truth had brought them somewhere else, or perhaps showed them something that wasn't real. Where are we? Lyra whispered. Before Reed could answer, a calm voice echoed all around them. Smooth, royal, dangerous. Welcome, my daughter. Welcome, protector. The walls shifted like liquid, forming tall pillars and glowing banners. From the center appeared a throne, black crystal wrapped in golden flame. Seated upon it was Queen Soraya, ruler of the Valari Empire. Her beauty was breathtaking, her presence terrifying. Her eyes glowed like burning stars, too perfect, too cold. Reed froze. She's here. Lyra's voice trembled. No, this is a projection, a mind link through the core. She's inside our vision. The Queen smiled faintly. You speak as if I'm not real, my child. But you forget. This empire is my mind. Her gaze shifted to Reed. And you, the human who saved what was mine. You show courage. You show loyalty. I could use a man like you. Reed's fist tightened. You sent hunters to kill us. Soraya rose gracefully from her throne. I sent hunters to test you. You passed. Lyra stepped in front of Reed. Mother, stop this. The Shadow Core has poisoned you. You're not yourself. The Queen tilted her head. The core did not poison me, child. It freed me. It showed me the weakness of mercy, the illusion of peace. Her eyes turned toward Reed again. You understand strength, don't you, Captain Walker? You fought your own kind. You saw their greed, their lies. You could have been a king among them, but they left you here to die. Reed stared back in silence, the words cutting deep. Soraya's tone softened. Join me, stand by my side not as a servant, but as my protector king. Together we could shape both our worlds into one empire, where no human or Valari ever dares defy us again. Lyra shook her head. He will never join you. The Queen's smile faded. Won't he? She stepped closer and suddenly the room changed again. Reed was no longer beside Lyra. He stood in a different place, a vast balcony overlooking the burning ruins of Earth. The Queen stood next to him, her voice low and smooth. Look, she said, pointing at the flames below. This is what your people do. They destroy. They consume. They betray their heroes. Reed's throat tightened. He saw soldiers he once knew, his old team, faces lost in the war. His guilt returned like a knife in his chest. Soraya's hand brushed his arm. Serve me and I will give you peace. I will erase your pain. You will never be forgotten again. Her voice wrapped around his mind like silk, soft and commanding. But through the haze, another voice broke through. Lyra's voice. Reed, it's not real. She's inside your mind. Fight her. The illusion flickered. The burning city vanished. The Queen's face shifted, still beautiful, but her eyes now pulsed with black shadows crawling beneath her skin. Reed stepped back. You're not offering peace. You're offering control. The Queen's expression hardened. Control is the only peace that lasts. Lyra appeared beside him again, pulling him away from the Queen's projection. We must break the link now. Soraya's voice rose like thunder. You dare defy your queen? Her hand lifted and energy chains burst from the ground, wrapping around Reed and Lyra. The air grew heavy. The world itself trembled. Reed struggled. You think fear will make me yours? The Queen smiled coldly. No, Captain. Love will. She reached out, touching Lyra's face with a shadowed hand. If you will not serve me, then you will serve to break him. Lyra gasped as the darkness crawled up her skin. Reed shouted, Let her go. The Queen's eyes flashed. Prove your loyalty, Protector. Kill her and take your place beside me. The chains tightened. The machine of truth around them began to shatter under the Queen's psychic power. The chamber's light dimmed. Darkness spread like a living storm. Reed's mind screamed, part of him pulled by guilt, part by rage and part by the strange, dangerous pull of the Queen's voice. Then, through the chaos, he heard Lyra's whisper. You once said you wouldn't leave again. Don't leave me now. Her voice cut through everything. Reed's eyes burned bright blue as he broke the chains apart, energy exploding around him. No one controls me, and not anymore. The Queen stepped back, furious. Shadows swirled around her like a storm. Then you choose death. Reed grabbed Lyra's hand and they leapt through the collapsing light of the machine. Behind them, the Queen's roar shook the stars. If you will not be my protector, then you will be my enemy. And as they fell into the burning light, the Queen's image shattered, but her voice lingered, whispering through their minds. This isn't over, my daughter. The core is eternal. Blinding light gave way to darkness. Reed and Lyra crashed onto a cold metal floor, gasping for air. The golden chamber of the machine was gone. Now they were inside a massive hall filled with glowing cables and whispering energy streams. The walls pulsed like a heartbeat. Alive, breathing, watching. Reed groaned, pushing himself up. Where are we now? Lyra touched the floor, her eyes glowing faint blue. Inside the Queen's ship, her command citadel, Reed frowned. She pulled us in through the neural link. Lyra nodded. She wants to end this herself. Before they could move, a deep hum echoed through the hall. Holograms flickered to life, hundreds of Valari soldiers kneeling before the Queen's towering image. Her voice filled the chamber, calm and deadly. My daughter has betrayed her blood. The human has stolen her mind. Bring them to me, alive. Reed clenched his jaw. She's turning the whole empire against us. Lyra stepped closer to him. Then we must show them the truth, before she turns them into slaves of the Shadow Core. Reed nodded. We fight smart. We fight loud. He pulled a small device from his belt. An old Earth Alliance signal broadcaster. If I can patch this into her ship's comms, we can send your message to every Valari screen. Lyra's eyes brightened with hope. The rebellion will rise. They moved through the dark corridors, silent and quick. The ship trembled as engines fired somewhere deep below. Drones flew past them, carrying strange containers filled with dark liquid energy, the essence of the Shadow Core. Lyra whispered, She's spreading it across her fleet. Once the core takes full control, every soldier will lose their mind. Reed looked grim. Then we stop it now. They reached the central comms chamber, a vast dome of light with floating platforms and energy bridges. Dozens of Valari guards stood at the center, guarding a large crystal tower. Reed grinned slightly. Looks like a party, Lyra smiled back. Then let's crash it. Reed jumped first, firing pulse rounds that exploded across the floor. The guards turned, shouting in their language. Lyra followed, lifting her hands, blue energy flowing through her veins. She unleashed a shockwave that sent half the soldiers flying. Reed reached the console and slammed the broadcaster into the core's slot. Come on, come on. The Queen's voice boomed from the speakers. You cannot win, Captain. Even your strength bends to my will. Reed gritted his teeth. Then let's see whose will breaks first. The console flickered to life. Lyra stepped forward, standing tall before the camera feed. Her voice echoed across every Valari ship, city, and planet. People of Valari, she said, her tone clear and strong. Your queen is no longer herself. The Shadow Core controls her mind. She feeds on your obedience. But we can break free. Every screen across the Empire showed her face. The lost princess, alive and defiant. Soldiers stopped mid-march, citizens froze, ships halted in space. The Queen's voice thundered back in rage. Silence her. Dark energy surged through the ship. Black veins spread across the walls. The Shadow Core began to take shape, a monstrous form of pure darkness rising behind the Queen's image. Reed shouted, Lyra, cut the signal. But Lyra shook her head. No, they must see her truth. The core roared, sending waves of psychic pain across the room. Reed's vision blurred. He saw flashes. Earth burning, Valari cities falling, the Queen crying out in pain as the core consumed her. Lyra grabbed his hand. Reed, focus. He blinked and looked at her. Her light was fading, her energy almost gone. We can't hold it much longer. Lyra smiled faintly. We don't need to hold. We need to spark. She turned back to the feed. If you can hear me, she said to her people, voice breaking, then remember who you are. You are not the core. You are Valari, children of light. Reed smashed the final switch. The signal expanded beyond the Queen's control. Across the galaxy, Valari ships began to glow blue, their systems rejecting the dark code. Soldiers ripped out their control chips. The rebellion had begun. The Queen screamed, her voice shaking the ship. You dare defy your queen? Lyra whispered, tears in her eyes. No, Mother. I defy the darkness. The shadow core exploded in fury, ripping through the citadel. Reed grabbed Lyra and ran toward an escape hatch. Behind them, the Queen's form twisted, merging with the dark energy. Her final words echoed through the storm. If the galaxy will not bow, it will burn. The citadel exploded into fire. Reed and Lyra shot out in an escape pod, falling through the stars. As they looked back, they saw the Queen's fleet, half burning, half free, locked in battle. The rebellion had begun, and there was no turning back. Reed took Lyra's trembling hand. You did it, he said softly. She smiled weakly. No, we did. And as the stars burned around them, a new fire, the fire of freedom, spread across the galaxy. Stars burned red across the night. Reed's escape pod drifted through the chaos, fire and metal filling the void. The Valari fleet was tearing itself apart. Half the ships fought for freedom, the other half still obeyed the Queen's corrupted will. Inside the pod, Lyra lay weak, her light fading. She pressed a trembling hand to the window, watching her home burn. My people. They're killing each other, she whispered. Reed adjusted the pod's controls. Not all of them. Some still fight for you. Your message reached them. Lyra smiled faintly. It was your strength that carried it. Reed shook his head. No, it was your heart. The pod's scanner beeped, a warning. A massive shadow approached through the wreckage. The Queen's citadel had survived, but it was no longer just a ship. It had become a living being of black energy, pulsing with lightning and hatred. At its center, Queen Soraya floated like a ghost, her eyes glowing with the burning essence of the shadow core. Her voice echoed through every channel, calm but terrible. You cannot destroy what I have become, child. I am the core, I am forever. Lyra's tears fell silently. Mother, please stop. Reed loaded the last of his rifle's power cells. She won't stop. Not until we end it. He looked at the machine's core crystal still attached to his armor, the fragment that had marked him as the protector. It glowed faintly blue. Lyra touched it weakly. If you use that, you'll link directly to the core. You'll die, Reed smiled softly. Then I'll make it count. He set the pod on a collision path toward the Queen's monstrous ship. Lyra grabbed his arm, shaking her head. No, Reed! There has to be another way. There isn't, he said gently. You're the light, Lyra. I'm just the one who carries it. The pod burst from its thrusters, racing toward the heart of the storm. Energy blasts tore past them. Reed took the controls, weaving through debris. The citadel grew larger, a swirling storm of darkness and broken metal. The Queen's face appeared in the sky, vast and glowing. You think you can kill me, human? You are nothing before eternity. Reed's voice was steady. Maybe. But I can remind eternity what it means to fight for something real. He turned to Lyra. When I hit the core, you'll use your neural link. Disconnect her mind from the shadow core. Do it fast and don't look back. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. Reed, I can't lose you, he smiled. You already saved me. The pod crashed through the outer shell of the citadel. Alarms blared, energy flaring everywhere. Reed grabbed the core crystal from his chest and charged forward, his armor glowing like a second sun. He shouted back, Go, Lyra! She hesitated, her heart breaking. Then she closed her eyes and activated her neural code. Blue light poured from her hands, spreading across the corridors like water, cleansing the darkness wherever it touched. Meanwhile, Reed reached the heart of the citadel, a swirling vortex of pure shadow. Inside it, Queen Soraya waited, her body half human, half energy. Why do you fight me, human? She whispered, voice echoing across the chamber. You could have ruled beside me. Reed stood tall. Because I don't need a crown to do what's right. He raised the crystal. The machine of truth's light exploded, piercing through the core's heart. The queen screamed as energy tore through her, splitting shadow from soul. Lyra's voice echoed through the link. "Mother, let go!" For a brief second, the queen's real face appeared, and gentle, sad, free from darkness. She looked at her daughter. "Lyra, forgive me." The core imploded. The explosion lit the stars for miles. When the light faded, the citadel was gone. Only silence remained. Lyra drifted through the debris in a rescue craft, calling his name. Reed, answer me!" No voice replied. Only the hum of starlight. Then a faint blue glow appeared among the wreckage. A single crystal floated through space, Daikon, the Protector's core. Lyra caught it in her hands, pressing it to her heart. Her tears sparkled in zero gravity. "You kept your promise. You didn't leave." She looked toward the burning horizon of her world, now free, now hers to rebuild. In her first command as the new queen, she spoke softly to her people. "Let the stars remember him, the human who protected our light." And in the quiet beyond the war, the legend of Reed Walker, the last protector, spread across galaxies. The soldier who defied fate, who loved without fear, and who saved two worlds by giving up his own.